Right, hello and welcome to my review of Grid. It's a long time since I've bought a Codemasters game because they've been a bit unreliable in the past, especially with the way they update games and putting things out with bugs and you know what I mean, don't you? But they haven't done a Grid on this generation. I don't think they have. So the last time I played Grid, it wasn't that bad a game. So let's see how this one compares. I'm going to use my controller for using the menus, but I have got my thrustmaster TMX wheel that's got a clutch, brake and accelerator pedal attached to it, and it's got paddle shifts, which I'm going to be using. So firstly, we'll go through the options, see what we've got here. We've got gameplay options, units, miles an hour, field of view. That's quite good. You can turn your arms off and the steering wheel if you want. Difficulty, I've got mine on custom, and I've got visual damage only. Terminal damage is enabled, but if it's visual only, I don't see how that's going to work. Flashbacks, which I don't use, but I've got them on 5. I'll turn them off actually. Yeah, you can use them. They do work. I pressed it by accident. It was on the Y button on the controller. Manual sequential, I've got it because I'm using my paddle shifter. I'm not using clutch. Camera position, any racing lines, I've got that on, so you can see how that works. There is a reason why I've got it on as well. Not just because I don't know the tracks. I don't know all the tracks, but I know quite a lot of them. Traction control and stability control are all off, and so is ABS. Because I like the simulation side of things. So if I'm driving, I wanna drive. So we'll go on to video next. It's just your usual, set the brightness, audio. I've got mine set on home cinema because I've got the Turtle Beach headphones on. Dynamic range, high, music volume, I always have that off. Effects, I've got all them at like 80%. Rest of it's self-explanatory. Racing, I'm not going to go at that or any of the other ones over on left. What will go to is controls. I'm not going to race now because that just gives you a lot of legal rubbish. So I've got my Xbox One controller and I've got my TMX wheel, and it says that, you see, it's a bit flaky is this. It says that I need to calibrate it, and the calibration is weird. I'm not going to go through it because I've just got it working, and that's another story. But you can see when I press the throttle, the brake, the clutch, or steer the wheel, you can probably hear that grinding away against the force feedback motors. It does show you a visual input on the screen there, so that's good, but it's not very comprehensive. And the calibration is pathetic. I'm not going to go through it, but it just tells you to turn it in one direction, press a button, turn your wheel 90 degrees to the right, which is completely wrong because that's not going to calibrate it. The wheel rotates far more than that. It's just not good. The calibration's pathetic, and it says I still need to do it even though I've done it. So you can load a preset device, calibrate device, which I'm not going to do, and edit your device. So if you go to edit, it goes to input bindings. I'm going to just leave them as they are, but you can change things if you want, but there's no need to. Advanced input, steering linearity, is it 0? That's actually changed since I last looked at it. It's just the whole system with the wheel is weird. That didn't look like that last time I looked at the screen. I can't explain it to you, but it gave you some options to. There was no soft lock. It was steering linearity and something else, but it doesn't say that anymore. So that's what I'm saying. That the wheel, the way they've implemented the wheel is just weird. There's the force feedback. That's changed since last time I looked at it. Everything's set on maximum. I can't explain why that screen looks different. It just does, and I don't have an example of why. I might come back to that later after I've done a bit of racing. And the reason I don't want to touch anything while it's working is because it keeps going wrong, which that's not really boding well for the game. but that's, I'm putting my controller down now, so I'm just using the wheel, so it might get a bit clicky. The career mode, which is where most people may or may not go. I'm not really much of a career type of a player. I like doing hot lapping and stuff like that. So I started down here with the Classic Mini Trophy, and then I did this one at Brands Hatch, and then I did this one at Havana, and then I wanted to carry on doing that, you know, the stuff on the bottom there. But I get to this one, and it says I've now got to complete 5 touring car events, which is something I don't want to do. And if I want to go on this one, it says complete Classic Touring Cup Brands Hatch. So that's that one. But I don't want to do any touring car events up top. So I've gone across here and done this one. That I've got to finish third or above on that one. Then it sends you to Asia to drive things like that, the Subaru, which I've got absolutely no interest in. And then it sends you to Barcelona. So I've got to go along here to carry on down here, and I don't want to do that. I've tried the this is the track that came with the original the first grid, and that's the one I remember playing on, and it was quite good. Used the American muscle cars on it, but all the cars in the game are all race cars basically. I'll come back to the career in a minute, or I might not, I don't know. So if you want to just jump straight in and not bother with the career, which is where I normally go, just to check how the cars and all that work, you get these event names which don't mean anything, and then you've got race, time attack, so I'll just go to straight race, it doesn't really matter. Vehicle category, you've got 5 main categories, so you've got touring cars, stock cars, tuner, GT, Invitational. Underneath each one you've got then different, I think there's about 10 on this one. You've got classic minis, classic touring car, classic GT, classic Ferrari, Ferrari Cup, F100, Heritage Super Tourers, Historic GT, Group 7 Specials, Renault 26. That's like the Formula 1 car. So one of the most fun cars in here with these Group 7 Specials. They're quite lively. So if you go into that, you press A, and then you can then choose your track. I'm going to go to Brands Hatch, a real short circuit there, Indy circuit. I've actually driven around this in real life quite a few years ago. I went to racing school there. I'm not a racing driver. It was like before you could do track days, and you can choose your amount of. It's back in the 80s, by the way. You could choose your amount of laps, time of day, afternoon, day, rain, overcast, sunset, rain, dusk, night rain. I mean, it's quite comprehensive. So if you have it on sunset, some of the reflections that you get in the screen, and they're just not good. Just not good at all. It looks ugly. I like to be in the car, you see. Now hang on. I'll just put it onto just 3 cars. No, 5 cars. I hope it's kept the other. Yes, I don't want 8 laps. Just have 3 laps because I'm only going to show you it. Now, one good thing is that I'm having to loan the car because I can't afford it. If you look at the top right hand corner there, it's how much money I've got on my level. And it tells you about the car. So I'm choosing this Porsche because it's the only one I can just loan it. And it's, would you like to loan it? It'll cost you 10% of any winnings. Yes. Otherwise I can't drive it. You don't get a livery either. And then you've got this loading screen. The loading times are not too bad. You've got the commentator talking. So I can actually qualify now if I want, which is it's unusual in these sort of games. So you can qualify, and if you do well, you start at beginning, which is a good thing. You're more likely to win. I've got the AI set on basically easy. So I like it when you can listen to them.
Yeah, okay, sorry, it looks like things are about to get underway.
She says, oh, look, I'll have to stop talking, things are going to get underway.
Okay, push this race.
See, if you've got a windscreen in front of you, which is, it's only got a little tiny one, you get a horrible reflection of your dashboard. Now that, if you look at the green line, you know, that's a bit... all you got to do is follow that around and you start getting these points racking up. You see it says racing line combo. So braking there, it went yellow, so you want to be going round at green, don't you, really? It's really simple, you know, so like, I don't know, I'm not saying a kid could play it, you know, because it's not just us adults that play games, you know, kids do play. And it's pretty ideal for a kid, isn't it, really? Most of them are going to be probably better than us. That line round that bend is not really right either, not for slightly slower cars. It just puts you right on the apex all the way around. You see, you can build up combos, but eventually, as you go, it won't let you have any more. You sort of max it out. Now the problem for me is this, that never at any time really feels like I'm driving. And that for a driving game is a big downer, because I like things to be on the simulation side anyway. But I don't mind if you've got a good driving model. This isn't too bad, but the rumble strip, I'm not getting any rumble through my wheel. I am getting some force feedback, but it's extremely weak, and I've got it turned right up. And the other thing, I don't understand how that screen looked. I can't show you because it just, I didn't record it, but the screen now looks totally different than it did last time I looked, and it doesn't make any sense. So there's obviously some bugs in game, and there's some quite major bugs in this game as well. Considering how they've had a long time to redo every mistake they made in the last game, the problem seems to be the race net. So if I press the right button, I go over from race to event, and then I go to team. Now if I press it onto global, that'll give me my global position for my lap time. But if I do that, there's the game might crash back to dashboard or home screen. So I daren't do it. So all I dare do now really is, I'm not going to press replay because everyone knows about replays. They're old hat now, aren't they? It does a fairly comprehensive replay, and you can't just keep the camera like trackside. It always goes in, you know, right at the vital place where the car would look at its best. It then decides you're going to be sat in the car or looking at the handbrake or some other rubbish like that. So it's not really very good. You can do slow motion stuff like that in it, so there's a chance you could make little films and things like that if you were that way inclined, you know, with your capturing on your Xbox. But it's not very comprehensive. But the graphics are nice, though, aren't they? But I mean, we do expect that. This is you know, this is like the big generation, and we're nearly at the end of it, aren't we? And now it's going to tell me, you know, where all my XP went, and, you know, whether it's technique, bravery and speed. It's usually speed, isn't it? There's no way of skipping this. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere, obviously. And that really, be honest with you, for me, that's the game right there. I could just I could just do that if it was good enough to do the hot laps and get up the leaderboard, but sadly it's just not. Like I said, the game doesn't feel like I'm driving. This is one of my favourite sort of cars, American Muscle. I don't like the stupid hyper hypercars, you know, that you get that are stupidly fast. They don't seem to work. I don't like them. They don't work in games for me. So this is like a career race. So this is going to be the format of your career. And the AI is not really very good. I was slightly slow off the mark on one of these races, and I basically got rear-ended and spun on the about 100 yards after it started race.
What an iconic setting here today, Kristen. From Alcatraz all the way to Fisherman's.
I like that you can cut these guys off. So if I can go into hot lap qualifying, and then it starts you on a hot lap. But this can be a bit hit and miss as well, because I've had it where on a different car that's got the Motec display, it was all flickering, and I basically had to restart the game to stop that flickering. I should easily get the fastest lap. These can be quite fun, but some of the handling seems a little bit weird. Sometimes the car just seems to fall around around the racing line, even with a wheel. And the best way to play this is the wheel. It's the only way you're ever going to feel like it's outright driving, because the controller just feels completely dead. But if you play Forza, which is probably I think it's probably the benchmark game in it really for driving on the Xbox. Anyway, if you play that with a controller, that also doesn't feel good anymore. Not on this generation, but I got used to playing with a wheel, so that's probably spoiled me a little bit. See, now it should just be a breeze. Graphics are nice, but there's the shine on the dashboard. Some cars are better than other ones. This isn't too bad. If you've got something that's like, I think it's like carbon fibre or Kevlar or something like that as a dashboard, it just looks terrible on the reflection on the windscreen. The Mini's terrible for it, the classic Mini. So I came first on the qualifying, so that's put me right up there. I could watch a replay if I wanted to, but I'm just not gonna. But like I was saying, the loading time's okay, and you can do all kinds of things with your name and all that. And it's just not interested though. Just not interested in it. You know, all the fancy things you can do with your name. I'd rather be a bit more game. But I like how you can just cut these off, you know, with the talking, and then she'll say, "Oh, we're starting."
Because it's time to get started.
See, it was a bit slow for my out there. Oops. See, it tells you, you know, if you know what you're doing, the racing line combo, or you do this combo, you can do drifting. The drifting just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right at all. There are different views. When I finish this race, I'll show you the different views that you've got. That's quite comprehensive, but I like the in-car view. Can't remember how to look back. See, the graphics are nice though. But like I said, you do kind of expect that, don't you? That's a nice sort of like double apex bend that when you get it right.
Last lap, so hold the lead through to the
As you
end
go, the races will just get harder and harder and longer, I should imagine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I don't like the career progression where you've got to do stuff that I'm not particularly interested in. I'm not interested in touring car racing. If I want to be playing project cars, which is, you know, a much better simulation. This is definitely the game side of stuff. I mean, you can tell. So you're not expecting the simulation, but the driving just doesn't feel like you're driving. It's like you're going through motions. It's quite a decent wheel. This thrustmaster, and I'm not getting any rumble. I'm getting a bit of torque steer and things like that, and I can feel when it's sliding. But I can't feel I didn't even feel that bang. You know, you get rivals as well. You know, if I start smashing into people, I think everyone knows about that though, 'cause it's been so well advertised. It just looks like an overrated gimmick to me. I hit someone twice and he was instantly my nemesis, and it didn't seem to have any effect on the race. He just raced in front of me. He didn't try and smash into me or anything. The car damage is quite good, but then again, you know, it's not a I don't want to play a demolition derby in this sort of game, so I'm not interested in what the damage is like. I mean, they may have done a really good job. I would prefer them to make more of a game and make the AI better, rather than mess about. Look how good our damage is. I mean, you can probably tell I'm just not impressed by this at all. There's some nice aspects to the game. The graphics in that are nice, but the implementation of the driving is just, it's just not that good. Now there's another, you got to do another race, which I'm not gonna, because it's just, I don't want to bore you too much. I'll just wait till I can skip out of it. I see if I can skip out of it.
Tell me what's gonna happen.
Well, I doubt we're going to see anyone really troubling the podium. Dare I say, it looks set in stone. Though that's not to say... Yeah, okay, sorry.
I'll just exit this. You've already seen a race, you know what it's like. And it don't matter whether it's dark or not, does it? You know what the... you know what the races look like. So if I go back to free play, I'll go into Invitational. This is one of my favourite cars. I think it's a classic touring car. I'll just set on 4 laps. Silverstone's a nice circuit, but it's too long for doing on here. You just get bored. Brands Hatch. I'll just use that little circuit again, so it's over faster. Oh, you can... I'll just take a few of them out because it gets silly. The Cosworth, Ford Sierra RS 500 Cosworth, that used to be one of my favourite sort of cars. You know, they've been... It's one of them cars that's in a lot of games, and it's quite fast. I drove one in real life, a Cosworth, and it's probably the scariest car I ever drove, apart from a Porsche. I always wanted a 911 until I drove one, and then I realised I wasn't really that good a driver. But it was an 80s 911 with no traction control or anything, so... So I'll just press continue. See, the car models are nice, but there's a funny design decision with this one that I'm in. You watch that door. This one does have a good feel to it. See, don't get really penalised for cutting there, but there is times where you do get. Now that's odd, because yesterday when I was playing this, that driver's door were hanging off, wobbling like we'd been damaged, and it ain't doing it now. You see, the AI is quite fast though, you know, the AI is set on basically simple, and they're, you know, they're not a pushover, they're quite fast. Trouble is, you have to drive to them, you know, like you would in real life, I suppose. So.
Chase down the pack.
You can have fun in the game. I'm not saying that it's not fun. It just doesn't feel like you're really driving, and I can't explain it. And I think there's bugs in it. In fact, I know there's bugs in it. Certainly when you go to leaderboards, when you've been in a race. I mean, that just not only does it go back to the dashboard, you lose your progress as well. Which is, that's not good, is it? You know, you just, some of these races are going to get long, so you'll have a lot of time invested in it, and you don't want to lose it when you've completed your objectives. It's very, very annoying. And then there's the setup of the wheel that's changed.
You're through the halfway point.
You know, the way the screens are telling you what's what. It's just, I might be explaining it badly, but the screens have literally changed, telling you how you've got your wheel set, you know, for your force feedback and steering linearity and other little tweaks that you can do in your wheel. It's like it's getting confused about what wheel you're using or what controller you're using. And I've had occasions where it just forgets I've got a steering wheel and just drive straight on at a corner or don't brake, whatever, you know. So I've had to basically unload the game and reload it. It's not the wheel. The wheel works perfectly with all the other games. And I can't understand why yesterday this door was flapping off. The driver's door was flapping open like it was smashed, and today it isn't. And I hadn't hit anything. You can have fun in it, but for me, it's not worth it. This was £55 basically, and I just don't think it's worth the money. There's lots of racing games out there. Forza just knocks spots off of this, and it's basically all race cars, and there isn't that many of them either. And the tracks you've got, you know, it's a bit of a cheap shot really. Reverse versions of tracks, which is, I don't know, it's lazy. I think I know it gives you more variation, but it's just lazy. And I think the whole way that it works isn't very good. The career just looks.
So now we turn our attention to Kristen,
It's just
our
boring.
expert on all things motorsport and
Boring.
our co-host of all the thrilling
I've got to
action in
continue
this
again
great
because I
World
pressed B
Series.
by accident.
Kristen,
The
what
normal
should we
way out
expect
of stuff in it is pressing B, and now I've got to redo it all again. So I've lost my progress, I think.
And I've just been told the race is seconds away from lights out.
Yeah, well, it's lights out because I'm going. Now what I'm going to do, this is more or less the end of the review. It's just average. The game, in fact, I don't think the game is actually average. I think it's, for the money, it's below average. And it's got bugs in it which it shouldn't have. There's not many cars in it. You've got these groups touring. You know, you've got these 5 groups, and underneath them you've got minis, touring car, historic GT. You know, there's only 2 cars in historic GT, and it's them. You know, it's the 330 and the GT40. It just, I don't know. I'll just show you tracks. Barcelona, Brands Hatch, Crescent Valley, never heard of it really. Havana, never heard of that. Indianapolis, obviously we know that, but you've got the oval there, because I've got stock cars, you know, like I say stock cars, like, what do you call it, NASCAR type cars. Sepang, Shanghai, Silverstone, that's quite good. Sydney, can't pronounce that, but there isn't that many, is there? Look, there's no Nürburgring. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 tracks. each with, you know, your usual track split up and reversed, and there's, I think there's like 70 cars, and like the car models are nice, but it's just not that good. No, it's not, for me it's not £55 worth of, I'm just going back to control, see if what's changed. See, now it's saying that's primary steering device, so let's have a look at options. I'll show you calibration screen now. Look, it says turn the wheel full lock in either direction, so I've done it left. Now it says hold the steering wheel at 90 degrees. Well, what good's that? I've just done it 90 degrees, now I've pressed continue. Clutch, throttle, brake pressed. Now continue, and brake. I don't have one, so I'm pressing the B button. I wonder if that's a problem. Edit device. Calibrate. It says device needs calibrating. Yeah, I've got 150. See, I've got all the force feedbacks set. I'll just have a go at that again. I'll just make sure I'm not bad mouthing him for no reason. So I've got that full lock. I'll just put it full lock all the way, because they can't possibly mean 90 degrees. That'd be totally wrong. How would that be calibrating? You used to have to calibrate things on PC. I don't know what. Got one. Just press continue. Test your calibration settings. Yeah. Continue. Yeah, they're all good. Yeah. Right. Now I'll look at edit device. Advanced input. Steering linearity. No, that's all changed. Vibration and feedback. I had that set 123. But 123 was about there. Anyway, that I might be being nitpicking. I think it's a bug. I honestly do think that there's a bug going on with that. And I've lost the controller. You know, I've lost the steering wheel mid-race and things like that for just no reason. And there's been other little bugs like the Motec display and the gear display and that flashing on and off. And the crashes back to dashboard when it's trying to access RaceNet. See, the problem with Codemasters games in the past, in my opinion, they've been very slow to do updates, and sometimes they've actually done updates and broken the game and then just left it broken, which is one of the reasons why I didn't buy that rally game they put out, Dirt 2. I've got that on Game Pass, and that's actually quite a good game. It actually feels like you're driving, even with the controller. And I was expecting this to be a lot better. Even though you can have like a sim arcade type of a game, but this just isn't it. I'm not saying you can't have fun with it, but I just don't think it's worth the money. And I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that's been of some interest to anyone that's watched it. And if you have watched it, thanks very much. And I'm sick of being negative about games. I'd love games come out and I'm going, wow, that's fantastic. Just buy it. You know, I'd do a 5-minute review and it's like, don't waste your time watching my review. Just buy the game. You know, I wish it were like that, but it's not. It's just really lackluster. So I'll say bye-bye. Actually, no, I'll do some more because I've done a bit more on the wheel. And basically, the game they've forgotten the wheel where they can clearly see it here. I just got a little bit confused. It's the controller that you get to see. So this is looking at your controller now. And I thought we were looking at the wheel. I didn't realise the controller had taken over from the wheel, which it shouldn't do. This is the different views I'm showing you. Well, will eventually. That's that Cosworth again. These are just in different views. Pretty standard, aren't they, really? And your racing line stays on there. That's really the only assist that I'd ever use, is the racing line. But the graphics are nice, aren't they? I mean, but you do expect that. Some of the reflections on the windscreens are not good, but that could be personal choice. Lose the skid marks on the thing. Oh, and the other thing about this game, which seems to share in common with all the games that seem to be coming out there, they don't keep any stats at all. None whatsoever. No stats about anything. Wins, losses, this, that, the other, mileage, favourite car, favourite track, nothing, not a thing. So that's a big disappointment for me. You know, for me that's part of a game, is having your stats. I know I've talked about that sort of thing before, but that's personal preference. This is where the Motec display and the thing flashes on and off. You can see it. A really obvious bug. A really obvious bug. You get to see different tracks though now, so I've not really shown you that many tracks. It's a different car. And I'm looking at the Motec display, wondering why it's doing that. And even if you go back and restart, that didn't fix it either. I'll just show you that. You know, I didn't cut that. That's just how it did it, just like that. And that's the back view out of the car. I still can't remember what button you press, but obviously when you play it, it'll do it. Obviously there's the rewind function as well for people that don't like to lose. I usually use this little track as a test track in most games, because it's one of the ones that's always in. Plus, like I said earlier, I drove it in real life, so I know what it's like. And it's just like this. It really does look like this, so you know they've got that right. Even the elevations and everything are correct. So I should imagine the rest of the tracks are pretty authentic. You get all that ticket there. It's typical arcade, isn't it? But like I said, the driving just doesn't feel like it's real. I'll show you. I know I said I wasn't gonna, but you might as well. I'll stick it on the end of the video here. It's just the replay system that you can see. And again, you know, you can see they got good car models, aren't they? And they move nice. And by the way, if any of the footage on this video looks like it's choppy in any way, shape or form, it's not. When you're playing it, that'll be the way it's being captured. It looks a little bit frame ratey on my editing software. I'm just winding it back there. And you can do your standard things with it and change cameras, change drivers and everything. And you can do the if you go D-pad left and right, it slows it down, speeds it up. Really detailed graphics though, but I mean, it's amazing, really. That track really does look like that. Yeah, it's good to go into slow-mo there. Yeah, it's nice. But it is nice to have nice graphics, but it's nice to have a nice game that you want to play. And I honestly won't be playing this game anymore. So for me, it's basically another bit of money written off for stuff that I don't like. But you keep trying. There's no games. There's no what's coming out that's any good. So we're stuck with what we're stuck with. I'm wondering, you know, after like last Battlefield and the Battlefield they've done before it, you just got to give up. I'm even going to try Call of Duty this year. So redoing Modern Warfare. That's the only one I thought were any good. Apart from the World War II one they did before that, they were a great laugh when Xbox 360 first came out. And people weren't so competitive, and people just used to play for fun. And you get guys that were absolutely, well, drunk out of their minds playing on a Friday night. It was hilarious. But it was all new back then, you know, like Xbox Live, and they want all this sort of culture that we have now where everyone seems to hate one another. But the amount of people getting banned by Xbox now for sending really quite non-offensive messages to people. It's happened to my mate recently. He got banned for what was basically nothing. I think he called someone a moron, and they were. It's all by text as well, isn't it now? So, but that's how people get. They take it too seriously. But you know, I wouldn't waste my money on this. Get it budget. Thanks for watching.